Do you know how advanced Air Force One is? It is the safest aircraft in human history. Firstly, Air Force One costs a staggering $5.2 billion US. The hourly flight cost alone is $200,000 US. The cabin configuration is extremely luxurious, earning it the moniker of a flying White House. Air Force One is 70 meters long with a wingspan of 59 meters. The interior is divided into 3 levels, top, middle, and bottom, with a total floor space of over 4,000 square meters. The middle layer of the cabin is the core area of the plane. The front of the middle layer is the President's rest area, furnished with the most luxurious materials. There's a portable nuclear launch case, which can command the launch of all of the US's nuclear missiles. Behind this is a bathroom and a mini hospital. On the right side of the deck, there's a large kitchen capable of serving meals for hundreds. Further back are rooms for senior officials, as well as meeting rooms and offices. At the tail end of the middle cabin are resting areas for guests, journalists, and bodyguards, as well as a press release area. The conference room has dozens of the most advanced telephones. All communication equipment has been modified and enhanced, capable of directly connecting to satellite networks, immune to any electromagnetic interference. This allows Air Force One to maintain communication at altitudes of 10,000 meters. If necessary, it can serve as the command center for the entire U.S. military.
This man thought the seal was playing with him, but he was deeply moved when he realized it was actually trying to help him. While he was peacefully diving underwater, a seal suddenly swam around him. The diver thought the seal was just being playful until he realized it was persistently trying to pull him to the surface by grabbing his diving suit and then his gloves. Not understanding what the seal wanted, he continued diving deeper. When the seal didn't achieve its goal, it decided to give up. For the diver, this was a once-in-a-lifetime experience, but he was even more shocked when the seal returned with another member, both approaching him at that moment. Their intentions became clear when they started pulling the diver to the surface. Thinking he was trapped at the bottom of the sea, the seals didn't give up and tried various ways to get him to shore. Still thinking they were just playing, the man didn't cooperate. When they realized they couldn't save the victim, they left, but soon returned with many more seals surrounding the diver. Only then did he realize the seals were trying to rescue him. They began pulling at his diving suit, while others circled around, checking on him. It was an unprecedented scene, but the diver's lack of cooperation made the rescue more difficult. Colt, surrounded by a family of seals, they desperately mimicked the action of going up, hoping the diver would understand they were trying to save him. Eventually, the diver surrendered and placed his hand on them, letting the seals bring him to the surface. The man was speechless. Once the seals saw the diver was safe, they and their family left.
Painless death in 30 seconds. The most comfortable way to die ever. This cute-looking capsule is Sarco. You can die at the touch of a button, and the whole process takes less than 30 seconds. Do you dare to sleep in this kind of euthanasia chamber? Sarco is a new product launched by Australian Dr. Philip and Dutch designer. The most important thing is that this thing has passed the Swiss official audit. Started to enter the market for mass popularization. So is euthanasia really painless? In fact, there are 3 common methods of euthanasia: oral sleeping pills, blood clotting injections, and injections of hydrogen compounds. But no matter what kind, the principle of euthanasia is to put a person into a deep coma until death. The whole process lasts more than 5 minutes. How can such a long process be painless? Sarco was designed to make death quicker and more dignified. All a person needs to do is to activate a switch inside. The capsule will be filled with a large amount of nitrogen. The oxygen level will drop from 21% to 1%. In just 30 seconds, the person will lose consciousness. The whole process is painless, and the user will turn from confused to happy and die with a smile on their face. In fact, Sarco is mainly made by 3D printing technology. The cost is very low. The whole is divided into 2 parts, the base and the chamber. The pod can be used directly as a coffin, and the base can be reused. But fortunately, there are only 2 Sarcos in the world. If it is really popularized, would you choose to end your life this way? You've all had breast milk, right? The production of breast milk is one of the greatest miracles of the female body. Breast milk is the most natural, safe, and complete natural food for babies. It contains all the nutrients and antibodies that babies need to grow. Breast milk is produced by the combined action of lactogen and the lactation nerve reflex. During pregnancy, due to the increase of estrogen level in female body, the mammary gland follicles develop rapidly to prepare for breastfeeding in the future. After the delivery of the fetus, with the sudden drop in hormones, the pituitary gland secretes a large amount of prolactin to promote milk secretion. When the baby suckles, it stimulates the pituitary gland to continue producing prolactin and oxytocin. Prolactin causes your breast follicles to absorb nutrients from the bloodstream to produce milk, and oxytocin causes your muscles to contract and secrete milk into your follicles, and then passes out through the milk ducts. The release of oxytocin also helps the uterus to contract and return to its pre-pregnancy size. This process is called milk letdown reflex. During this process, mom may feel tingling and tightness in her breasts, because the more the newborn suckles, the more the milk empties out, and the more milk she'll produce next time. This is a natural balance. So the production of breast milk goes hand in hand with pregnancy, childbirth, and the growth of the baby. In addition to this, the closeness and bonding of breastfeeding stimulates the baby's brain and mental development, and thus better communication between mother and child.
Can you believe it? This piece of beef was actually 3D printed. Now meat can be produced without killing a cow. And the details, texture, and taste are just like real beef. Because they felt that killing cows was too cruel, an Israeli tech company successfully invented artificial meat. They extracted stem cells from the cow and then cultured them in a lab. These cells, suspended in a nutrient solution, divide once a day. When there are enough cells, they can start printing. The shape of the beef and the fat-to-meat ratio can be preset on the computer. Now the engineers have printed a steak, but it's not done yet. In a sterile environment, this steak will mature into muscle on its own. Under the microscope, you can see the muscle fibers starting to contract. This means the steak in front of you is actually alive. In just 1 month, this steak can be served on the dining table, but for a better appearance, the 3D printer will reprocess them. It takes at least several years to breed expensive and rare Japanese Wagyu, but 3D printing can be done in 2 minutes. Look at these details and patterns. They are identical to real beef. Even professional research institutions can't tell the difference, because it is real beef, just grown in a lab. Once the beef is ready and served, you can't taste any difference. However, ironically, the nutrient solution used to cultivate the stem cells in the lab is actually extracted from pregnant cows. But don't worry, currently, this artificial beef is very expensive, and it's unlikely to be seen on ordinary dining tables. What are your thoughts on this?
This hole in the Turkmenistan desert has been on fire for 50 years. It all started back in the 1970s. Soviet geologists were unknowingly drilling above a massive natural gas cavern. This caused the ground to collapse and the entire drilling rig to fall in. A pocket of gas became punctured during this mishap, and poisonous fumes began to leak at an alarming rate. The geologists quickly ignited this gas, expecting it to burn out in just a few weeks. But now, over 50 years later, the crater is still on fire, providing a relentless spectacle known as the Gates of Hell. Have you ever wondered why Swiss cheese has holes? Well, contrary to popular belief, it has nothing to do with mice. You see, Swiss cheese is made with a certain bacteria that produces carbon dioxide. And during the cheese-making process, this carbon dioxide starts to form into little bubbles. These bubbles become trapped in the ingredients. And as the cheese ages, they start to create air pockets, which eventually form into holes. If you put ice cubes in the microwave, they take longer to melt than you might expect. And the reason for this is actually pretty straightforward. You see, microwaves generate heat by moving around the water molecules in your food. But since ice is frozen, the water molecules are locked in place, preventing the microwave from moving them. It's only after the molecules start to loosen that the microwave can melt the ice.
Toilet paper didn't exist in America until 1857. So what did we do before then? Well, mostly people used regular paper to get the job done, like an old issue of the Farmer's Almanac. But before that, people got even more creative. In ancient Rome, broken ceramic was a common tool for the task, and the pieces were often inscribed with the names of enemies. Kinda takes shit-talking to a whole new level.
Why do we call this a W when it's clearly a double V? I mean, yes, sometimes it's expressed as two U's, but most of the time it's represented as two V's. Why is this? Well, back in the day, the Latin alphabet didn't have a symbol for the W sound, so scribes used two U's or two V's to represent it. This symbol became pretty popular over time and was known as the double U. But when printing came along, something happened. It's unclear exactly what, but this letter began to look more like a double V. Even so, we still called them W's because, well, tradition. Have you ever wondered why we put money in a piggy bank? I mean, what do pigs have to do with money? Well, the answer is nothing. Kind of. You see, in the 15th century, people would store their money in pots, and they called these pots pig pots because they were made out of a clay called pig. Pretty soon, potters started making these pig pots look like actual pigs as a joke. And, well, the rest is history.